Eternal Darkness. Starting off this list is Eternal Darkness, Sanity's Requiem. Released in 2002, this horror game wasn't just about monsters jumping out of the dark, it was about making you, the player, feel like you were losing your mind. The core mechanic was its infamous sanity meter. The lower it dropped, the stranger the game became. Walls bled, characters' heads fell off without warning. The volume slider appeared to lower on your TV. At one point, the game even faked a memory card wipe. Most horror games aim to scare you through enemies or atmosphere, but Eternal Darkness broke the fourth wall constantly, turning the console itself into part of the nightmare. You never knew if what you were seeing was real gameplay or a sanity effect messing with you. Critics praised it as a bold step forward for the genre, earning strong reviews and cementing its cult following. Despite that acclaim, the game didn't sell particularly well. It became one of the Gamecube's most underappreciated gems, remembered more for its innovation than its reach. Even now, fans still beg Nintendo for a remaster or sequel, proof of how deeply those sanity effects left their mark. Soul Calibur 2. When Soul Calibur 2 hit the GameCube in 2003, it was the game that made every console war conversation that year instantly more interesting. Why? Because each version had an exclusive character. Xbox got Spawn, PlayStation got Heihachi from Tekken, but GameCube, Nintendo players got the ultimate trump card, Link from The Legend of Zelda. That single roster edition made the GameCube port feel legendary, and for many fans, it's still the definitive edition. Beyond the guest fighters, the game itself was razor sharp. Fluid 3D movement, flashy weapon-based combat, and a diverse cast made matches feel cinematic without sacrificing depth. It wasn't just about button mashing, you could master combos, guard impacts, and evasive sidesteps to dominate. Fans praised it for being one of the best looking and smoothest playing fighters of its era. And while most fighting games lived and died in arcades, Soul Calibur 2 thrived on the couch. The GameCube controller's button layout fit the style perfectly, letting players unleash Link's bombs, arrows, and master sword strikes with ease. For Nintendo fans who rarely saw their hero outside Hyrule, this crossover was unforgettable. It wasn't just a fighting game, it was proof the GameCube could compete with anyone. Pikmin 2. After the original Pikmin introduced players to this tiny garden experiment, Pikmin 2 in 2004 took everything charming about the first game and blew it wide open. They took out the 30-day time limit that stressed so many players out in the original. Instead, exploration became freer, letting you dig deeper into caves, collect treasures, and command your army of colorful plant creatures without constantly watching the clock. The addition of two new Pikmin types, purple with their brute strength and white with their poisonous bite, added layers of strategy that made every puzzle and combat encounter more dynamic. And unlike the first game, Pikmin 2 leaned into replayability, rewarding creativity instead of punishing mistakes. It even introduced co-op challenge modes, letting friends dive into the madness together. Critics were nearly unanimous, with a Metacritic score hovering around 90. Fans loved the freedom, the quirky humor in collecting treasures like Duracell batteries and soda cans, and the balance between whimsy and genuine challenge. While it never became the blockbuster that Mario or Zelda were, Pikmin 2 showed that Nintendo could create entirely new franchises that felt just as iconic. For many fans, this sequel wasn't just better, it became the definitive Pikmin experience. If you've enjoyed the video so far, be sure to hit the like button and subscribe below for videos daily. Paper Mario: The Thousand-Year Door. When people talk about the golden age of Mario RPGs, The Thousand-Year Door almost always tops the list. Released in 2004, it was the GameCube's shining example of how to mix Nintendo's playful charm with surprisingly deep storytelling. On the surface, it looked like another lighthearted Mario adventure, but peel back the layers and you had witty writing, darker undertones, and some of the funniest dialogue ever put in a Nintendo game. Gameplay expanded on the first Paper Mario, with turn-based battles that weren't just about menus but timing. Hitting your button presses perfectly added extra damage, while audience members watching the fight could toss items to help, or hurt you. It turned simple RPG mechanics into interactive theater. The cast of partners Mario picked up along the way made it even more memorable. A Yoshi kid with attitude, a ghost with diva energy, a Bob-omb veteran dealing with age, every companion had personality and purpose. Critics praised not only the clever battle system, but also how much the story leaned into satire, poking fun at RPG tropes and even Nintendo itself. It's one of the finest RPGs ever released on a Nintendo console. F-Zero GX. If there's one game that proved the GameCube could deliver blistering speed and technical precision, it was F-Zero GX. Released in 2003, this was Sega and Nintendo's unlikely collaboration, with Sega's Amusement Vision team taking the reins of Nintendo's futuristic racing franchise. The result? A racer so fast and so punishing that it quickly earned a reputation as one of the most intense experiences on the console. The game ran at a rock-solid 60 frames per second, even with 30 vehicles screaming around massive, gravity-defying tracks. Every course was a roller coaster of loops, corkscrews, and bottomless drops that demanded absolute focus. A single mistake at top speed could send you flying into oblivion, but if you mastered the physics and learned to balance boost power with health, the sense of control was unmatched. What made GX stand out wasn't just the difficulty, it was the presentation. Crisp visuals, a thumping soundtrack, and over-the-top character designs turned every race into an adrenaline shot. Even critics, who often slammed futuristic racers for being too niche, praised GX as a high watermark for the genre. F-Zero GX was a badge of honor. Beating it meant you truly mastered speed. Super Mario Sunshine. Every Nintendo console needs its Mario showcase, and for the Gamecube, that was Super Mario Sunshine. Released in 2002, it took the familiar platforming formula from Super Mario 64 and flipped it on its head, literally, by giving Mario a water-powered jetpack called Flood. Instead of just running and jumping, players sprayed, hovered, and rocketed around the tropical paradise of Isle Delfino. On the surface, it looked like the most relaxing Mario game ever. Bright beaches, palm trees, and sunny skies gave it a vacation vibe unlike anything else in the series. But don't let that fool you. This was one of the toughest 3D Mario games to date. Precision jumps, secret platforming challenges without FLUDD, and tricky boss battles made it a serious test of skill. The game also had a surprising story angle. Mario is framed for polluting the island and forced to clean it up, a quirky premise that gave structure to the shine collecting gameplay. Critics praised the creativity and freedom, while some players were divided on the camera and difficulty spikes. Still, it sold millions and remains a beloved, if slightly polarizing, entry. Even now, Sunshine stands as Mario's boldest experiment, colorful, challenging, and unforgettable. Super Smash Bros. Melee. My personal favorite on this list, Super Smash Bros. Melee. Released in 2001, this was Nintendo's all-star brawler taken to a new level of speed, precision, and depth. What started as a quirky crossover on the Nintendo 64 became a cultural phenomenon on the Gamecube, with Melee becoming not only the console's best-selling title, but also one of the most enduring competitive games ever made. The roster was stacked for the time. Classics like Mario, Link, and Pikachu to fan-pleasing newcomers like Marth and Roy from Fire Emblem. Stages spanned Nintendo's history, and items kept casual matches chaotic, but what truly separated Melee was how fast and technical it felt. Advanced techniques like wave dashing, L canceling, and edge guarding gave the game an insanely high skill ceiling, turning it into the backbone of competitive Smash for decades. Despite the series moving forward with Brawl, Smash 4, and Ultimate, diehard fans still consider Melee unmatched in terms of depth and balance. It's the reason major tournaments like EVO and countless grassroots events kept running it nearly 20 years later. Melee wasn't just a party game, it was history in the making. The Legend of Zelda: The Wind Waker. When Nintendo first unveiled The Legend of Zelda: The Wind Waker in 2002, fans were divided. Instead of the dark, realistic style many expected after the Ocarina of Time tech demo, they got a cartoonist Link with huge eyes and exaggerated expressions. Some called it Zelda for kids, but once people actually played it, opinions started to shift, fast. Wind Waker turned out to be one of the most stylish and timeless games on the Gamecube. Its visuals didn't just hold up, they aged better than most realistic graphics of the era. The open sea exploration gave the adventure a sense of freedom unlike any previous Zelda. Players sailed from island to island, discovering dungeons, side quests, and treasures across a vast ocean. The game's story also hit hard. It blended whimsy with darker undertones, revealing the fate of Hyrule beneath the waves and giving Ganondorf one of his most nuanced portrayals. Critics praised its design, music, and atmosphere, though some felt the sailing sections dragged. Years later, its reputation only grew. The HD remaster on Wii U erased doubts, cementing Wind Waker as one of the most beloved Zelda games, and a defining chapter of the GameCube's legacy. Metroid Prime. Few franchises have ever reinvented themselves as dramatically or as successfully as Metroid Prime. When Retro Studios brought Samus into 3D in 2002, fans were nervous. Could the eerie, exploration-driven style of the 2D classics actually work in first person? The answer was a resounding yes. Prime didn't just work, it became one of the most acclaimed games of its generation. Instead of turning into a typical run-and-gun shooter, Metroid Prime blended first-person action with atmospheric exploration. Players scanned alien life forms, solved puzzles, and gradually unlocked abilities that opened up previously unreachable areas, staying true to the series' Metroidvania roots. The GameCube's hardware pushed immersive environments, solidifying its dominance at the time. Combat was tight, but the real star was the feeling of isolation. Sliding into Samus's visor and seeing condensation, cracks, or enemy splatter made you feel like you were the bounty hunter. Critics hailed it as a masterpiece, with some calling it Nintendo's answer to Halo, but with more brains than bullets. Even today, Metroid Prime is remembered as a flawless transition to 3D, one that didn't abandon its roots but redefined them. Resident Evil 4. By 2005, the Resident Evil series was starting to feel a little stale. Tank controls, fixed camera angles, and recycled scares had fans wondering if Capcom's horror franchise had peaked. Then came Resident Evil 4, and everything changed. Launching first on the Gamecube, it didn't just reinvent Resident Evil, it reinvented the entire action horror genre. The shift to an over-the-shoulder camera transformed how players experienced combat. Suddenly, aiming felt precise, encounters were tense, and even village ambush felt like a fight for survival. Leon Kennedy's mission to rescue the president's daughter in a rural European village became the backdrop for non-stop set pieces. Chainsaw-wielding maniacs, grotesque parasite mutations, and cinematic boss battles that pushed the GameCube hardware to its limits. Critics raved, fans were hooked, and soon the game was hailed as one of the best ever made. Its influence can be seen in everything from Gears of War to The Last of Us. And while later versions spread to nearly every console imaginable, the GameCube release holds a special place in history. It was the stage where Capcom rolled the dice and changed gaming forever. Resident Evil 4 didn't just close out the GameCube era strong, it set a new standard for modern video games. Thanks for watching.